Another demand, more safe zones. What's a safe zone?
I feel like safe zone is so like media won't just run at you and try to grab you and like interview you, like kind of how like this is kind of set up, how like folks walk outside and it's like, hey, come here. Like I think that's a safe zone.
So a safe zone from the First Amendment?
No, just a safe zone from if we're having distress, which we currently are, like a time where we can relax and like gather our thoughts.
All right, very good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Senior, go out there and start earning a living.
Thank you so much.
Paying some taxes.
Yeah, I know.
Start getting a house and a car and all that good stuff like me.
All right.
I'll see you later.
All right.
John 911, what's the location of the emergency?
Sandy Hook School. I think there's somebody shooting in here. Sandy Hook School.
Okay, what makes you think that?
Because somebody's got a gun. I saw a glimpse of somebody. They're running down the hallway.
Okay.
They're still running. They're still shooting. Sandy Hook School, please. Oh.
Barbara.
Do not leave, please, okay? Stay where you are. Try to keep the kids calm. We do have troopers and officers on the scene, but I don't want you to leave because we do not have the shooter, okay?
مرحبا. هلا نحن وصلنا جوات الأراضي المقدونية، ماشيين لازم نضلنا ماشيين للساعة 12 الظهر لحتى نقطع أول 5 ضياع لحتى نصير بمنطقة أمان.
يا جماعة.
والله العظيم هون البوليس، هون البوليس.
يا عالم ورا كتير.
بجروبنا تقريبا شي 100 واحد، في عيال في أطفال كتير، متواصلين كلاتنا مع بعض وعم نحمي بعض.
واحد يوقف بس، يوقف يلا. أخوي جزائر، يلا أخوي يلا. شلون عم نمشي أصلا هون؟
تعبنا.
Maybe there shouldn't be one. Do you feel like you need a timeline?
Not a rigid one. No, not a rigid one at all.
Just so you feel like you keep moving.
Yeah, I think it depends on us, how motivated we are. Depending on our motivation, we could...
So what did you totally see it as?
Well, I mean, if we were totally motivated, we could hit the ground running tomorrow. No, I'm not saying attack anything tomorrow. I'm saying begin our training tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think we already are beginning our training now.
Yeah.
So I'm Bryce Renninger. I'm the editorial coordinator or editorial manager, depending on where you're looking, of Field Division. My role at the organization is to bring on projects and also and to figure out how we can support them when they come to us. And then I also help at the back end figuring out how to do outreach for those films and get them to as broad and as large an audience as possible. The best way to introduce you to what we do at Field Division is to show you our films. So because I have a limited amount of time, I showed you clips from 4 of our films. And the best way to explain how we get our films out there is just to speak in terms of case studies. We don't really have a one-size-fits-all model for getting our films out there and for having conversations about the films. We try to say yes to as many screenings as possible. We try to be as thoughtful as possible in having public in-person screenings. But we also try to put them on all of our films on as many online platforms as possible. But for the rest of the presentation, I want to talk about how these 4 films came to us and what we thought was important in our strategy in getting these films out there. So the first, Concerned Student 1950, is a documentation of the protests at the University of Missouri after a number of racist events, or racist actions on campus. many of the black students on campus got together, formed a group called Concerned Student 1950, named after the year of the first black student admitted to the university. The film that I started the clip show with, was made by three undergraduate students, directed by three undergraduate students at the University of Missouri. And they came to us because they were in a class with a documentary filmmaker who knew what we were doing very early when we started to start supporting films last year. And they showed us some footage, and we realized that it was incredibly important for this film to be created and to be distributed to as wide an audience as possible, for the reasons that I think are evident in the clip. The film, which is a little over 30 minutes, shows a completely different narrative to what people were seeing in the mainstream media at the time, not only on Fox News, where the reporter in the clip was from, but when watching the 32-minute film, you realize how much context all mainstream media organizations were missing. From specific actions of the group to the actions of the professor Melissa Click, who had lost her position at the university because of actions and the mainstream media coverage of her actions. So yeah, Concerned Student 1950, if we're talking about countering dominant media narratives, it's one of the best examples we have. The second film that we showed a clip from is Speaking is Difficult. It's one of our co-founders, AJ Schnock's film, about mass shootings in America. Obviously a topic that has been covered and is very, very highly politicized in a very polarized way. And in a very kind of rote way. There are rote ways of speaking about mass shootings, about gun laws. So AJ's film uses scanner audio, 911 audio, and the videos from the sites of these mass shootings as they are today. One of the interesting things about the film and our strategy for releasing the film is that every so often, if mass shootings in the US continue, there will be an update for the film. Coincidentally, The New Yorker will be publishing our latest update of the film, our second iteration of the film, which includes the sites of the mass shootings in Dallas and Orlando. In doing this, AJ wanted, and we as an organization, thought that taking a consistent approach, using audio and video that other people aren't using to tell these stories, would help kind of break up people's expectations and make people pay attention in new ways. I think we're still kind of seeing, it's the first iteration of the film was very widely covered when it was released online. And I think starting today, we might see some new things happening with the release of the second iteration of the film. So the first two clips that I showed came to us in kind of insidery ways. Obviously, the second film is made by a co-founder. The professor of the students who made the first film knew about our work, and we also know about his work very well. The third clip that I showed is from a series that we first published on the New Yorker's website called The Journey, about one Syrian man's journey to get himself to the Netherlands so that he could seek asylum for his family, the rest of whom were still in Syria at the time. So in that case, a filmmaker had met Abu Chaloub, who is the main protagonist in the journey, and found out what he was doing and started filming with him and started working with footage that Aboud had also been filming along his journey. And he showed us some of the early footage, and we said, this is really incredible how meticulously this journey is being documented. And it's real, again, we're getting so much more access, we're getting so much more information and a personal story that we think that this is a very impactful way to tell the story of Syrian refugees. When Aboud eventually, spoiler alert, settles in the EU with his family, we had a 5-episode series, and we were ready to debut. But of course, we were also seeing the rise of nationalist, anti-immigrant public demonstrations of nationalist, anti-immigrant groups, and just a very public presence in Europe. And so we decided to have Matthew, the director, work on a 6th episode to this series about these movements and also to look at how the families and some of the other people that we meet along the journey were living at that time, a few months after gaining asylum. So in that way, we were being flexible with expanding the story, being responsive to developments. I included the last clip to exemplify a few things. Well, first of all, the last clip, Eric and Anna, is a film about an FBI informant who one finds out when one listens to the tapes taken by the FBI that this informant was kind of inciting a radical eco-activist group to take on illegal actions. She was encouraging them to do things that they maybe weren't thinking of doing before she encouraged them. There's a few reasons why this is an interesting film to show. The first is that Katie Galloway and Kelly Duane de la Vega, whose film The Return you heard about just a little bit ago, they directed this film. The other thing that makes it interesting is that it's a film that is using primary documents. The film is constructed almost completely out of things provided by the FBI, so audio and it's a film that uses the primary audio to tell the story of this woman who's working within this group. The model for that film was also different and interesting because it was published alongside of a written journalistic piece for The Intercept, in which other court documents, other portions and parts of this story were written in a conventional magazine-style journalistic piece alongside of the film. So they're two complementary pieces. They both have different lives, but and circulate in different ways. But they're also very complementary, and you can find them, if you'd like, both on the same page of The Intercept's website. So in that case, that film is interesting for us because of the ways that it can provide another entry point into this story about inappropriate action, and inappropriate behavior by someone working in the interests of the government, entrapping people for doing, entrapping people and encouraging them to do things that they weren't going to do before. So the Field of Vision as an organization is a little different from the other people and organizations that you've heard from already, because we fund films, we provide production support for films, we provide research support for films, and we help them get them out there. We don't have a single issue that we're interested in. We're looking for good stories with great access that are As the theme of this part of the day says, we're changing dominant narratives, but also challenging dominant narratives. So that's all I've got to say for now, a little bit under time. Thank you.